Good day, people of YouTube. This is Astronaut Fisherman here. I was just dipping my rod into this big blue marble that we call Earth when I thought I discovered something pretty amazing. So apparently in the UK you can get a license to watch TV. A TV license. So immediately I assumed it's a TV license which allows you to watch TV professionally. With the exception of a license to kill, it's the coolest license I've ever heard of. So of course I did some research. And yes, there is people in the UK that get paid to watch TV professionally. There are people on TV watching TV on a TV show called Gogglebox. But that's only a handful of people. That's not enough to warrant a TV license. So then I thought about people on benefits. You know, dull scum. The people that get paid to sit and watch TV all day. But apparently, they're not required to watch TV. They can do whatever they want. They can go to the park, they can go to the pub, they can do crack. They still get their money. It was then that I found that 25 million people in the UK already have a TV license. And it was at this point that I thought there's something a little bit fishy going on. So what exactly is a TV license? Well, bear with me, but if you live in the UK and you buy a TV and you plug it in, you will automatically get a set number of channels. Most people have a thing called Freeview built into their TV, or they have a Freeview box, which entitles them to about 60 channels or so. I'm not sure which genius came up with the name Freeview because it's not free. In fact, only 90% of it is free, because 90% of the channels are ad-based and charge money for advertisements. However, the other 10%, aka the BBC channels, these channels, do not have adverts and therefore make zero money from advertisers. And for these channels, you will pay £145 per year. Funnily enough, the same price as a TV license. £145 for 8 channels. But hold on, let's be fair. Nobody's watching the Parliament channel, so we can scrap that one. BBC 3 is now only available online, so we can scrap that one. BBC 4 only airs from 7 PM till 4 AM, so that's only pretty much 1/3 of a channel. And these two at the bottom, they're kids' channels. They're not contributing to the £145. But people have children, so fair play, we have to keep those two. So that's £145 for 5 1/3 channels. So I think at this point we can agree that a TV licence is in fact just another unwanted bill. So don't watch, don't pay. That seems fair. Why can't you just be a good citizen and not watch the 5 1/3 channels and be exempt from buying a TV licence? But it's mandatory. It's the law. If you have a TV, you need a licence. Why? Well, because the BBC are just so confident that anyone with a TV will not be able to resist their top quality programming, such as Strictly Come Dancing, Amateur Dancing, The Great British Bake Off, Amateur Baking, and Bargain Hunt. Amateur Bargain Hunters, a show that's been on TV for 16 years. Can someone please tell the producers of that show about a little website called eBay? What's the worst that could happen? Well, this is where it starts to get a bit fucked up. For starters, they will bombard you with threatening letters, claiming that you've been investigated and that someone may come to your house to check if you are illegally watching TV. Not the BBC channels, but TV in general. That's a bit stalkerish, but it gets worse. The BBC are now sending out unmarked vehicles to your area to monitor if you're watching TV. Literally Russian spy shit. Plus, the BBC openly sending out unmarked vehicles to loiter in people's streets. That's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. They clearly haven't learned from previous mistakes. Being charged for a product that you do not necessarily want or need, that's some mafia territory. The BBC is a public-owned company, i.e. owned by the people, or in this case, the government. There is a name for when the government starts acting like the mafia. Okay, that's a bit strong, but it's fair. The government needs to give us a choice. The BBC could easily be made a demand-based service controlled by pin security. Why this already hasn't happened, I can only assume is because the BBC know that they wouldn't survive when there's so many better options on the free market. And FYI, if you get caught, it's a £1,000 fine. Okay, so let's be fair, let's put this into perspective. The BBC in the 1920s gave us radio broadcasting, and in the 1940s gave us TV broadcasting. And for about 80 years it was a powerhouse in broadcasting. And as somebody that's British, it's an institution that I'm very proud of. However, like most things, it became old, it became irrelevant, and it became a little bit clueless about advances in technology. What about the Olympics? Well, I was talking to my friend the other day about this, Space Monkey, and he said, well, what about the BBC's signature shows, such as the Olympics? Team GB, they're amazing. Well, much like the BBC's namesake, while it may appear to be big and fancy, behind it is just a money-whoring dimwit, in bed with other money-whoring dimwits. No, but seriously, it's the Olympics. If the BBC stopped existing tomorrow, another network would simply pick up the coverage. Like all major events and shows, they're driven by money and sponsorship. Channel 4 already has the coverage for the Paralympics. It really isn't that big a deal. Oh yeah, and for anyone that's now saying, oh yeah, but a TV licence also goes towards maintaining and building new infrastructure, which is vital in the digital era. Well, let's for a moment just pretend that council tax and tax doesn't actually cover that. But if only there was a company that had an infrastructure that reached every single person in the country. You know, a company like, I don't know, BT, British Telecom, a company that we owned until the Tories privatised it in the 1980s, 10 years before the digital revolution. You naughty girl, Margaret. So what the government is telling us here is that they can privatise our infrastructure, losing billions in the process, but Graham Norton and the 9 o'clock news are too valuable. Fuck off. The government must have a good reason. Well, it's not like the British government to get things wrong. It's not like the British government is always transparent with their decision making. They must have a good reason to take £3.7 billion of hard-working citizens every year. Well, they do. This is it. To inform, to educate, and to entertain. So basically the manifesto of every broadcasting network in the world, private or public. 20 years ago, I totally would have agreed with that, and I would have believed that everybody had to pay into the service. However, in the current digital world, hundreds of channels, YouTube, Netflix, the internet, the justification of a mandatory TV licence is just insane. If you don't agree, then how about this? Yes, it gets worse. So you, as the customer, decide that you want a full media experience at your fingertips. The full viewing pleasure of everything available. You decide to go with the private service, which if you live in the UK, that means Sky or Virgin. You choose a package, movies, sports, arts, everything. You do the sums and you get a monthly package, £50, £60. So now your TV is provided by a third party, a private company, transmitted on their own satellite dishes and underground cables, installed by their own trained personnel, and maintained by their dedicated customer service team. You will still have to pay for a TV licence. With a world of viewing options, the BBC are still so confident that you will primarily only watch their 5 1/3 channels. Fucking astounding. So the equivalent to this, just to drive my point home, imagine you go to a shop to buy a new coat. I'm from the north of England, it rains constantly, I'm always on the lookout for a new coat. I find a sexy coat and I take it to the cashier. Mrs. Cashier, I would like to purchase this beautiful new coat. Of course, Mr. Astronaut Man, that will be £100. Excellent. Will you be needing a twat hat to go with your new coat? Twat hat? No thank you. I assume you already have the necessary twat hat at home, sir. No, I don't have a twat hat, funnily enough. You are required to have a twat hat in order to wear your new coat. It costs £145 per year, but that will cover you for any other coat you buy in this period. I just want the coat. Don't worry, sir. Everyone else has a twat hat. It just stops there being any legal consequences. Legal consequences? Like what? Well, we will start sending you angry letters demanding that you provide evidence of a twat hat. We may then also send unmarked vehicles to your property to determine if you are wearing your coat without the necessary matching twat hat. I don't wear hats, never mind twat hats. You misunderstand, sir. You don't actually have to wear the hat. We just need to know that it exists somewhere on your property. Okay, well then, I best have a twat hat then. You had best have a twat hat, please. £145 and a please and a thank you. I know I'm British, but that's asking a lot. So what have we learned? Well, number one, we've learned that a TV licence is in fact just another unwanted bill. Number two, the BBC need to give us a choice. They need to make the BBC a demand-based service. And number three, Kanye West is a massive BBC. So in closing, Britain, wear your twat hat, your country needs you.